Recording? Yeah. All right, kids. Welcome to another edition of Off Limits with my partner in crime, Dylan Wren.
Hey.
I want to just very quickly before we go in, I talked about Trinity Gold on my podcast because it was a supplement I was taking because it worked really well for inflammation and joint pain. And I had like really tender Achilles heels and it worked. It went away. And it turns out that Trinity Gold is not what it says it is. It's not Ayurvedic herbs. It's not just Shilajit. It also had acetaminophen in it. This is all from, according to the FDA's investigation. And two powerful anti-inflammatory drugs, one of which has been banned in the United States because it causes bone marrow toxicity. And, I posted about this on my Instagram because I think this wasn't a mistake in my opinion. In my opinion, I don't know how you make that mistake. I'm going to investigate more. I'm going to talk to some other people, but I think that this is criminal behavior personally. And until I hear otherwise, I'm going to go with the FDA report and I'm going to assume the worst, not the best. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's so
crazy? It's not criminal.
What do you mean?
It's not criminal. The FDA doesn't put those kind of regulations on those.
Well, I think there's got to be something about when you say to me that well, first of all, definitely criminal. Here's why.
Okay.
You told me on your website and on Trinity Gold's packaging, it is very clear on what the ingredients are. Right. And I know that because I looked that up way before I started taking it.
You're pretty serious.
And it made no sense that it was working so well. Yeah. And then I find out that they put a substance in there, a drug that is not allowed in the United States. It's not, you can't prescribe it in the United States.
Pretty fucked up.
And they put acetaminophen in, which can cause liver damage, especially if you're taking a lot. So I could have overdosed on that. I also recommended it to my wife and other friends. And so what I was doing was putting my wife and my health at risk so they can go fuck themselves. And so to me, that is criminal behavior. I don't think it was a mistake. I think these are criminals. And I think that I think that the price should be jail.
Are you going to
That's how I feel. I don't know. I have a feeling that this is the kind of thing that the FDA will probably handle. Do I want to get into a lawsuit?
Well, if you want to use your platform to expose them,
that's what I'm doing.
They seem like seedy people, so you're probably going to get sued in the process. So you might as well just go ahead and.
Well, if they want to bring that, that's fine. But what I said was I was very careful in my post to say what's going on, guys. I was just reiterating what the FDA said, what their investigation said. Now, if the FDA is wrong, and if they didn't put acetaminophen and those two powerful anti-inflammatory drugs in their product, if this was some kind of a mistake because they made it the same plant that they do drugs in, that's a different story. But until I hear otherwise, I take it very seriously. That put my health at risk.
You should.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should.
So because all of us, Kevin James, everybody was like, dude, this stuff works. So.
When was the last time you had El Pollo Loco?
It's been a while, but it used to be very good. Why?
I was just wondering.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's what I wanted to bring people's attention to because I had mentioned it on the podcast. I don't want anybody taking it. And I will be in Buffalo, New York. I want to thank the people from Calgary, Yucks, for coming out. Always a great time. Always great crowds. And there we have it. All right.
Okay, let's start with some glutes.
Yeah, I've seen this guy before. Very happy with his ass.
Are you happy with his ass?
Trick to grow big glutes. When doing your kickbacks, instead of kicking just straight back like this, like most people do, here's the magic trick. Ready? You're going to step over the cable to align your glutes out at a 40.
This guy's hilarious. He's obviously every gay man's dream.
Yeah.
And he, a lot of these fitness guys, okay, with all their fitness tips, they're already gifted genetically, right? They're gifted genetically. Like you're big, you're strong, you've got all that because you already have an amazing frame and the kind of genetics that put muscle on very easily.
Right.
I could do all of that stuff. I could do everything you tell me, and I'm going to put on, if I really work at it, 5 pounds of muscle and still look like I play golf on the weekends.
Yeah.
I'm never going to have delts. And if I took steroids, I would look like a skinny guy who takes steroids.
Right.
With tight skin, who's too old to be taking steroids.
That's good. It sounds like you've integrated your shadow self, which is a pigeon frame.
I have integrated my pigeon frame, my bird-like physique.
That's really evolved of you.
It is.
So he for sure bottoms.
If he doesn't bottom, it's
a waste.
It's a crime.
Yeah.
It's an actual crime.
Yeah, it's a complete
and it
waste.
should be. Yeah, it should be. I have a friend who's very, very good looking. My buddy Kevin Mack, and Kevin gets a lot of gay DMs from men when he comes into town.
Kevin's hot.
Yeah, and he'll get DMs from men where it's like literally a guy with an ass like that bent over with just his balls in his ass, and he's peeling his peach. Yeah. And he's like, "Give me a call if you're interested." That's what he looks. He's like, "This is what I get all."
And he
calls.
calls.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. No, Kevin's very straight. Hey, don't spread rumors about Kevin Mack, for God's sake. Yeah.
All right, so I'm wondering where to go here. Let's go with Cynthia Erivo. Now, I'm very excited for this movie because, as the fans know, I'm a gay man with a wife, right?
Yeah.
I'm unbelievably excited for this movie. Wicked was my gay literature teacher in senior year in high school, kind of got me to fall in love with reading, and one of the first things we read was Wicked, and he loved it, and it was very infectious.
So you just said that Wicked is infectious, and there's not a straight man that I know, and it's fine, but I don't know any men.
It is fine.
I know no men, and I'm not saying this is good or bad. I don't know any men who have ever said to me, I went and saw Wicked.
No, I
and
said
that's always been
read Wicked.
Yeah.
And my gay professors.
Already too many words, though. You know what I mean? Already you have a strong opinion about a musical. I don't have any friends that have an opinion about a Broadway musical. None. I'm not saying I should have friends who do. I don't. But that means that my friends are very broy and very straight. So
have you seen Shucked?
I've not seen Shucked. I've seen Broadway musicals and I love them.
Right.
Like Hadestown, etc.
Oh yeah, you loved Hadestown.
Loved it. But for the most part, I've never heard a straight man like yourself or pseudo straight man say something like, and I read the book, and knowing the difference between the book and the music in a musical is already on a different spectrum sexually. And God bless. But at the end of the day, if you know that, even that level of minutia when it comes to musicals, you are also probably a fan of somebody with a beard.
Yeah, I mean, I think
and that's fine.
Art and literature that's Campbellian sound, or Campbellianly sound, I don't really think...
Campbellian.
Yeah, if it's Campbellianly sound, I don't really care if it's gay or straight. It's beauty.
It's beauty. It is beauty.
Yeah, so you can take your fucking bullshit.
I'm just saying.
And
I've seen Cats. I've seen all of it. It's great. I love musicals.
All right, so
I mean, I don't love them, but I've seen a lot of them.
So here's the issue, right?
Yeah.
So this is the poster for Wicked, starring two women with just powerhouse voices.
Yes.
Right? It was digitally altered by fans using AI to represent the musical poster. It has more fidelity to the musical poster, which has Elphaba's hat pulled down, covering her visage, right?
Her visage.
Yeah. And Cynthia was very, very upset by that. Can you read this?
Wow. This is the wildest, most offensive thing I have seen, equal to that awful AI of us fighting, equal to people posing the question, is your pussy green? None of this is funny. None of it is cute. It degrades me. It degrades us. The original poster is an illustration. I am a real-life human being who chose to look right down the barrel of the camera to you, the viewer. Because without words, we cannot communicate with our eyes. Without words, we communicate with our eyes. Our poster is an homage, not an imitation. To edit my face and hide my eyes is to erase me. And that is deeply, deeply hurtful. I would say that she's a little sensitive here.
So
I would say...
This is the original poster.
I think that that's all they were doing. That's all they were doing. And I would say that this person takes themselves a little too seriously. And they think of themselves as, I guess, historically significant, or you took away you're making this about you. And you've got real fans here who just altered it with AI. Talk about picking a fight you're never going to win here.
Right.
Wow. And none of us were thinking about that. Nobody was thinking about that. But you were. That to me is a classic narcissist. But not surprised. It might be also what makes her so good. She's probably a hell of an actress. She probably makes it. What is her name?
Cynthia Erivo. She'll probably win an Academy Award for this.
Yeah, she's
and
probably
if she
amazing.
Does,
I'm going to send you.
She'll be an EGOT winner.
Yeah, I'm going to send you something I want you to see.
Yeah. So get in the comments, let us know. Who's gayer, me or that guy doing the glute stretches?
What's that?
I'm talking to the fans, okay?
Now, I want you to play this when you talk about narcissism.
Okay.
And
just going to text me?
Yeah, I just texted it to you.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah, I'd like to just talk. I think this is Will Smith's child.
This.
And, I like Will Smith. I don't know anything about Jada Pinkett. But when your child grows up a prince, when your child grows up with this kind of fame and money, you're indulged to this degree. When you are essentially royalty, which is what he and his sister are.
His sister's so beautiful.
Yeah, they're gorgeous.
Oh my God!
Yeah, but
look at that human being.
Then you're also really wealthy, and you've never heard the word no in any context. And it doesn't even mean that Will Smith and Jada Pinkett aren't good parents. It just means it's Hollywood. It just means growing up this way. It just means you're doing your best. I think Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith, regardless of what people say, they've done their best. They continue to do their best. They seem like people doing the best they can. Are they flawed? Who isn't? So I'm not making fun of them or anything else, but
all and the fans will make fun of them all day.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean.
Being a parent and having your husband.
Let me hear what he has to say.
Hang on 1 second.
Sorry.
Being a parent and having your husband come on camera onto a show to talk about the infidelity that was committed, it's not doing your best as a parent. These people are fucking insane.
That's insane. That's total insanity. And that's also somebody who, I think she's
toxic femininity.
She's also a narcissist who needs all the attention and resents his fame and all that stuff. But he loves her, man.
Their son dropped an album called 2024, A Case Study of the Long-Term Effects of Young Love.
2024, A Case Study of the Long-Term Effects of Young Love is really a snapshot of my mental state currently when it comes to trying to be a human and relate with people in the digital age that we live in. The mental landscapes of people are changing, and the psychology of people is changing. Honestly, I just wanted to make it because I'm sad, and it's my sadness that connects me with my community and my fans. I'm hoping that I can leave enough information behind for psychologists of the future to look back and be like, man, what was really wrong with this guy? Like, there's some serious stuff that's wrong with him. Like, what is it?
Why is it important to be able to cry?
I just think that you'll just fill up with water if you don't. I think people will just fill up with water and drown from the inside.
Yeah. So apparently his mental state, this young kid who seems rather lost and certainly without a lot of objective perspective, he thinks that psychologists are going to use him as a case study and be really interested with what was wrong with him. What was wrong with this guy? He's such a mystery. We could learn a lot about the human brain if we study this kid. What's his name?
Jaden.
Yeah, Jaden. Wow, Jaden. She doesn't sound like she's self-involved at all. Yeah, so
It's amazing how
it doesn't serve you. Of course you're sad because you are your own God, and that's the lesson of youth. You'll learn.
yeah. So the sentiment that he expressed was simplistic and lacking depth of any kind.
He's
There
sad.
was really no statement made whatsoever.
He's sad.
Our psychology is changing as we interface with the digital landscape. Got it. Thank you. But also, the interviewer asked him quite an important question. Why is it important to cry? Now, crying is a very, very important thing. It's spiritual irrigation. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Spiritual irrigation's way better answer.
Right.
Spiritual irrigation is a much better answer than it's also what you said is nothing, but I like it. It sounds it's a good twist of words, but it's nothing. But yes, otherwise you'll fill up with water and drown from the inside.
Well,
that's even more poetic.
Right. So I don't know if it was dumb or poetic, but if you look at a psychological wound, be it grief or trauma, and you treat it like a physical wound, crying is an important part of the healing process. You cannot dress a wound without cleaning it first, irrigating it first.
Yes.
So this kid's just a fucking idiot. You know what I mean?
Well, it's what happens with power when you have zero pushback in your life. You've never heard the word no. You've always been full. You've always been well slept, and you've always been indulged to the nth degree. Anyone can be corrupted that way. Anyone could be that. Anyone. Especially you get older, you realize, yep. We all have pieces of that in us. Now
So
what?
Let's segue to environments that truly harden, right? Because he has been in a ball pit his entire life. I saw this video, and I just wanted to bring this in and get your commentary on it. To think about this being just the daily cup of coffee for polar bears, that this is just how they live.
Damn, look at that. Look at those waves. Look at that. Just jumping from lily pad to lily pad and looking for seals. Always hungry. Polar bears, by the way, for all you global warming people, have doubled in their population, I think, since 2006.
Good.
Because they put some restrictions on hunting.
Well, yeah.
But the
that's
globe
good.
was supposed to be killing them, and apparently it's not. However, they are. Look at that. Look at the waves. Look at that. Damn. Because what is it? The Arctic is basically a sea, or is it? Yeah, it's the Arctic. It's not Antarctica. It's the Arctic. It's basically a sea.
It's amazing.
Swells.
If you like
Walking on water, dude. Looking for food.
The composure that animal has in that environment, which that environment sucks.
Well,
it is just
that's why they call the polar
worst.
bear the Christ dog. In Christian circles.
Right. Okay.
In the Inuit.
All right. So we had a
This is
Al
so
Smith
great.
dinner.
Yeah, it's so great. I mean, you got to love Trump for his humor. He's got a great sense of humor. And I think he's ahead.
Extremely charismatic.
I think he's going to win.
100%.
You do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on. Can we just really quickly, and I'm sorry that I'm talking so much on this podcast.
I like it.
Kamala Harris sits down with Brett Baer, and he asks her if you've made any mistakes
I know.
with immigration.
Yeah.
He has a litany of very, very easy to find data and statistics
6 million people have come in.
proving that there have been mistakes made. She says no. And I'm confused why.
Well, no, she actually blamed Donald Trump
Over
and the
and over and
Republicans
over again.
for not passing a bipartisan immigration bill that was totally unacceptable to anyone who believes in strong borders.
Well-
so don't don't blame you put out a bill. You presented a bill that was complete horseshit.
Yeah, well, it wasn't complete horseshit. It was akin to Reagan calling the Iranians and saying, "Don't release the hostages. I want to beat Carter in an election." But
no, that's absolutely not true.
No, it is true.
Have you seen the bullet points to the bill?
Yeah.
Bring it up, and you'll be like, oh. You can see why it was unacceptable, and Trump said it at the time.
Well, if it was unacceptable, then why did so many Republicans want to vote on it?
The main point is that the bill, the border policies that the Biden-Harris administration dismantled, is why so many people came over the border.
Yes. So when she says we haven't made any mistakes, I'm confused about why the DNC keeps running candidates that speak like aliens. I don't understand why presenting as fallible is such a weakness. I don't understand why saying, yes, we made mistakes is such a silver bullet. It's a human thing to do.
I know, but she's just not an honest person. And she's not, in my opinion, she doesn't sound like an intelligent person. And if she is intelligent, she's certainly not a confident person. She cannot speak off the cuff. She's just not a statesman. Sorry. I never liked her. I didn't like her back during the Kavanaugh hearings. The way she treated Justice Kavanaugh, to me, was already an outrage and unfair. And she just she was the worst of the woke in that,
Well,
so.
and Donald Trump is not a statesman either, but Donald Trump represents a rhetoric that is at least different than the Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris isms of the modern Democratic Party, which is such a revolting.
Well, as Robert Kennedy said, Jr. said, I didn't leave the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left me, and Tulsi Gabbard said the same thing, and I agree.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
So there were a lot of hilarious moments from this. Gaffigan first.
Event has been referred to as the Catholic Met Gala. This event has been referred to as the Catholic Met Gala. 22% of Americans identify as Catholic. Catholics will be a key demographic in every battleground state. I'm sorry, why is Vice President Harris not here? Consider this. This is a room full of Catholics and Jews in New York City. This is a layup for the Democratic nominee. In her defense, she did find time to appear on The View, Howard Stern, Colbert, and the longtime staple of campaigning, the Call Her Daddy podcast.
Save humor, but good. This is the best.
There's a group called White Dudes for Harris. Have you seen this? White Dudes for Harris. Anybody know? Are some of you here? White Dudes for Harris. Doesn't sound like it. But I'm not worried about them at all because their wives and their wives' lovers are all voting for me.
Savage! He's so savage. Come on, you gotta love this dude.
No, you don't have
but
to
he's
love
so
this
funny,
dude.
man.
He's
Trump
very
delivers
funny.
profanity below the belt digs at Catholic charity banquet. Okay. Oh, look, Washington Post not happy. Fuck off, Washington Post. Fucking you've lost half your readership in 4 years. You lost $70 million last year. Go fuck yourself. Nobody reads your bullshit articles anyway, so see ya.
Can we also talk about how hot these women are? So hot.
I don't know. I can't see from here.
And then also so hot. This
Dude,
is so hot.
It's a Catholic.
Oh my God.
Please. These are fine, upstanding Catholic and Jewish women. Probably married. All right.
Okay.
There we go.
Danica Patrick tweeted this.
Testicle injuries in women's sports. God bless you, Danica. God bless you. That's hilarious. That's fucking hilarious. Testicle injuries in women's sports. Yeah, we've lost our mind. I will continue to say it. It's actually something it's a voting issue for me. If you stand with trans men, if you stand with men in women's sports, then you're essentially my enemy. And I think you're a fucking crazy person. And I think that I can guarantee I disagree with you on everything from your COVID policy to your economic policy to everything. So, yeah, it's pretty easy to tell. And I can also probably get a sense of what your IQ is, you dumb fuck. I'm kind of harsh right now. I'm sorry. Whoa. The U.S. is investigating an unauthorized release of classified documents on Israel's Iran attack plan. Yeah, Iran is seeing this as an opportunity to dismantle Hezbollah. They're even hitting Christian towns, which were always Israel. Israel's hitting Hezbollah even in Christian townships, which were always safe from the Israelis because the Christians helped the Israelis in the civil war against the Muslim, I think, minority or majority. So it's surprising, but a lot of the Hezbollah fighters are, I guess, shacked up in Christian townships. So they're killing a lot of people in Beirut. And now they're going to go after Iran. Interesting. And the U.S. is telling them not to hit their nuclear sites and their energy depots, which is surprising. I was like, that would be where you would want to go. Don't hit residential neighborhoods. But they want to do something. I think they want to take out the leadership. And I think a lot of Iranians secretly, because all of them, like 70% of them are under 30, secretly would love to see the regime get taken out.
I don't think not so secretly.
Yeah, I think I bet you the Israelis have a lot of help on the inside about this. And there's probably an underground movement of who's going to take over when that regime. Now that's very, very dicey. It's dangerous work, but who knows?
Did we talk about the Abraham Accords?
Not enough.
As a domino effect, having a domino effect to this?
No.
Listen, I do think that Trump is less hawkish than modern neoliberals, but I also don't think that it's gone stated enough that the Abraham Accords were a similar kind of provocation as what happened with NATO and Ukraine.
Well, didn't the Abraham Accords also have Israel and Saudi Arabia in that as signing a peace treaty? That was part of it.
Right.
There were a lot of positive things for the first time that seemed to be practical and less ideological.
Right, but the geopolitical practicality of it was to embolden the Sunni position on the global stage.
Yeah, and I was going to say that one of the things that people always got wrong when dealing with the Middle East was having a misunderstanding or underestimating the Sunni Shia divide in the Middle East. Remember, Iran is Shia Muslim. And it's a little bit like, what's the difference? I could go into it, but rather, it's almost like Protestant Catholic, you know. But the Shia, the idea is if you're a cleric, you have to be able to prove your blood lineage all the way back to the Prophet. And there are other things, but for the most part, that would be a large part of it. And the Shia and Sunni divide really happened after Muhammad Ali, I think that was his name, Muhammad's grandson, was murdered by a separatist, somebody who disagreed with this idea. I think he was praying in the mosque, and as a result, that created this divide, which said essentially, "Hey, yeah, it's Muhammad Ali, right? He was killed, and it was like you shouldn't have to prove a blood lineage. You should just be a follower of the Sunnah." You know, therefore the Sunni. So it's very easy for people to break into these groups.
So what's happening right now seems like a kind of defensive posturing or an offensive posturing to an emboldening of the Sunni position on the global stage. If you look at Iran and Hezbollah, they're both Shia Muslim.
That's right,
bodies.
and the Palestinians are Sunni, the Saudi Arabians are Sunni. A lot of the Gulf state is Sunni. So yes, so that's always been a thing. It's always been it's always been a very serious divide. It was a divide in Iraq. The British took advantage of it, and then the British were actually ignorant to it. So when they were creating these countries like Iraq, they were putting Sunnis and Shia together.
Right.
If you remember Saddam Hussein, Gamal Abdel Nasser, and the other Pan-Arabists, the Pan-Arabists were trying to bring all Arabs together under a secular banner, under the banner of Arab, not Islam, not Sunni, not Shia, because they recognized how tribal and fractious the Arab peoples were based on those ancient divides. And they said, if we're ever going to be, players on the main stage and a military might and a nation state people take seriously, we should be Pan-Arabists. We should be like, if you're Arabic and you speak Arabic, then that's the country. But of course, human beings aren't that way. They're like, I'm Iraqi, I'm Shia, this is my tribe, I'm loyal to my clan, and it never worked. And by the way, it didn't work because the British and the Americans and the French weren't going to allow it to work. They were like, no. And either were the Ottomans.
It just seems to me like this whole thing has been kicked off by Iran's kind of death throes as a Shia minority.
Wait, say that again?
The whole thing seems to me, and I'm not absolving Israel of their part to play, but the powder keg gets lit with October 7th, financed by Iran. It seems like the whole conflict began with Iran's death throes to the Abraham Accords, which saw them as an irrelevant faction of Islam.
Yeah. I don't understand what you said there. Say that again.
Okay. So the Abraham Accords get signed, strengthening Saudi Arabia's position and the Sunni position on the global stage. Iran is left in the dust as a Shia nation state. They finance Hamas.
Well, of course, they don't want to see Israel and Saudi Arabia sign a treaty at all.
Exactly.
It's a big problem for them. It further isolates them. But Iran's always been rather isolated. They've never been. Remember, Iranians, Persians, and Arabs are very different.
Yeah.
There is no. People think that they're the same. Farsi and Arabic are completely different languages, totally different cultures, totally different people. If you ever called a Farsi an Arab or an Arab a Farsi, a Persian, they would be. Are you out of your mind? Babylon and Persia were two very different empires.
Yeah.
So
it's very insulting.
Yeah.
Now. You had this conversation with Reza. Do you not see the left tends to bend over backwards in its defense of Islamic countries? And I
don't know if that's true. I would say this. I would say the left, especially now with Gaza. See, there's a tendency to say when you are protesting against what Israel's doing in Hamas in Gaza, there's a tendency for people to say they're pro-Hamas, they're pro-terrorist, and they're anti-Jewish, or they're some anti-Semitic. I think that's very unfair. I think what a lot of people for the first time in our history are seeing is civilians are getting the actual imagery and thus the horror of war on their phones. And war is, if you talk to people who've been in war, and I've not, but I've had conversations with people who've talked about war, and the first thing you talk to a real warrior like Tim Kennedy or somebody, and you say to them, hey, was that movie like the way it really was? And you know what they'll tell you? They'll go, not at all, dude. Because real war is just a lot. You see a lot of dead children. You see a lot of very wounded children. You see children that are crying over the obliterated bodies of their parents, and vice versa. That's what you see. And for the first time, and that's exactly what happened in Iraq. That's what happened in Afghanistan, and that's been happening since the beginning of time. And real warriors who've been there, whether it's Vietnam or whatever, will tell you that. It's why they probably don't talk about it. It's probably why it's unmentionable and unspeakable, because if you've not been through it, you would never understand it. It's not something you can read about. It's not something you can hear about. You had to live it, smell it, see it, feel it, and hear it. And you don't know that unless you've been in the fucking muck, in the blood-strewn round, if I may quote Shakespeare. And that's what I do about war, because I've never been to war. Yeah. But now you're seeing on TikTok and on your Instagram feed, you are seeing what war really does. And when you essentially level 60 to 70% of an area like Gaza, where 2.5 million people are crammed into, and by the Lancet and by American doctors and by another organization, even I think the Red Cross and the UN, it's far more than 100,000 people. It's probably closer to 200,000 people. That's a lot of people, especially when they're children and women. So, whatever you want to say, you have to at least acknowledge that it's okay to be horrified. It's okay to say, hey, is there a better way to do this? Hey, can we not do this to this extent? Hey, is there a proportionality thing here? That doesn't make you anti-Semitic, anti-Israel, anti-Zionist. It doesn't make you pro-Hamas, pro-Palestinian. It just makes you a human being who, for the first time, is seeing what war really is. And my only silver lining there is maybe the next time people will go, whoa, guys, you're going to do this again? So it's very much isolated Israel on the world stage and even on the American stage for the first time in my life. You can't control the narrative anymore. The Americans controlled the narrative with our press pools, with our censorship in every war. And the justification was, you don't want to ruin the morale of the fighters there on the ground with this imagery. We're not ready. We can't handle it. So you never saw this stuff during Vietnam. It went through censorship. You didn't see it in Iraq. You didn't see it in Afghanistan. Trust me when I say, when we bombed Mosul, I happen to know in 2007, in some cases, when you called in an airstrike as an American, you were allowed to kill up to 35 civilians to one combatant. That went down to 7. Then finally, I think it was 1-1, because they started to realize this is not working. This is not good. But just make no mistake, every country has that quota, and you can't prosecute a war without it, which is why when warriors say, you sure you want to do this? When Bush W and his team of neocons, none of whom had been in war, none of whom had ever shot a gun probably.
You're talking about
none of whom had ever done a contact sport. The only one who was a warrior was Colin Powell, and he was against it. Bush's father was mysteriously and suspiciously very quiet about the invasion of Iraq because he didn't agree with it. Most people that knew something about geopolitics knew it was going to be a fucking shit show. But people like Richard Pearl and William Crystal and Condoleezza Rice and Dick Cheney and all the other neocons like Douglas Feith and Paul Wolfowitz, and for that matter, Donald Rumsfeld, who I think was an Air Force guy, they were all gung-ho. All gung-ho. Yeah. So, sorry.
Too much money to be made not to be gung-ho.
Yeah. At how many lives? 1 million? How many of them were innocent? How many of them were children?
Yeah, 1.1 million.
Yeah. Just that, huh? But they're brown, so it's fine. Right. Oh, but they're Arab, and we always say that, right? But they're Arab, and they look at death differently. No, they don't. No, they don't. Take it for somebody who lived there. No, those villages are very tight. In those communities, all they have is each other. All they have is each other. Believe me.
But okay, we went down. I just wanted to ask you, like, there is a lot of defensive Islam on the left. There always has been. Sam Harris.
Yeah, I guess there becomes this, like, you don't want to be Islamophobic and all that.
Exactly.
Sure.
Sam Harris and Bill Maher have constantly been just lanced with slings and arrows for their criticisms of the Islamic world.
Right.
Now, most of the Islamic world is not run by radical theocracies the way that Afghanistan and Iran are. But a good majority of the Muslim world are still run by pretty strict monarchies, which is a very fucking antiquated way of governance. So
you can also lay a lot of that blame at the British door. You know, the colonialists who were British in the Middle East, they set up in Jordan, for example, that was they were Hashemites. They were originally from Saudi Arabia. And they set that King Hussein was set up by the British. And the Jordanians did not recognize that monarchy. They didn't recognize Hussein as their king. He was a Hashemite. He was from a different clan. He wasn't even from there. So the British did a lot of that. The British created something called Iraq. Didn't exist before the Brits came along with matchsticks on a map. So
fun times.
Chris Roberts, those moose would kill you, Brian. Don't mess with them. Chris, they would kill most people unless you understand animal behavior, unless you understand how to redirect energy. And I study moose hapkido. So,
dude, fuck you, man.
What?
Fuck you. And
What?
I knew you were going to do that too.
Why?
You constantly shit on Hapkido, even though the most powerful principle is your power plus my power equals my power.
I do shit on hapkido.
You shit on Hapkido all the time.
I know, but my master used to make us go out.
Don't say my master. It's so insulting to somebody who actually has had an Hapkido master song, the great master song, Tiger Marine in South Korea. Unbelievable
Tiger
badass.
Marines are no joke.
You're really pissing me off.
Okay, dude, but
now.
I'm just saying, my Hapkido master, my Hapkido sensei used to always say, "Oh, today we don't fight each other. Today you go out." And he would take us to Spain and throw us into a bull ring. He would take us in the wilderness when the moose were rutting, and would literally throw me at the moose.
Yeah.
Okay, and we went to Africa. And there were several rhinos while in mating season.
Yeah.
And I remember, I'll never forget when we were also there, and he threw me in front of Black Death.
Yeah.
The water buffalo.
Right.
And he made me clang. I had to clang blocks of wood together and walk in an aggressive manner toward the buffalo.
Yeah.
And I knew it was going to come at me. And in every one of those times, they would bear down, and I had to learn how to shuck one way and then cut the other way.
Yeah.
And trust me when I tell you, I tore a lot of my shirts and even my pants. Mm-hmm. I came very close to dying. But thank God for Hapkido.
Yeah. Did he make you guys read Hemingway on the plane over?
Well, I didn't read Hemingway. I lived it. You guys sit with that. Couch, I love you. When Trump was on Theo Vaughn, he was very open and discussed dealing with his brother, the alcoholic. When Kamala was on The Breakfast Club, she said she listened to Tupac a minimum of 5 years before her first album in 1991, his first album in 1991. It's probably to say Trump will perform much better on the JRE than Kamala. Trump used to frequent Howard Stern as well. Yeah. Of course, I can't believe Kamala's going to go on Rogan, because Rogan will give her a lot of rope, but Rogan will ask her important questions, and she's not going to get away with redirecting things. He's gonna. I know Joe. He'll get annoyed if that happens, and he'll start going, "Wait a minute." And if I know Joe, Joe's probably said to them, "You're not allowed to censor and tell me what questions to ask." I'm not going to do that. So I mean, maybe he will, but my guess is he's going to ask important questions. Or maybe just have a conversation with her. Joe's very good at making everybody look really human. So, could be the best thing for her. Jillian CY, I love moose fights. Friggin' insane savages. Y'all remember NATO Flipper? Spygate? Dolphins fitted with cameras 2018? Hey, Jillian CY, you're all over the place, huh? Man. But yeah, I think they were using dolphins. They were fitting them with spyware.
Yeah, but
training them.
It was also this weird story that I didn't know.
I don't think they need it.
He was all over the place.
They could just use sea drones. Yeah, you were a little high there.
But it's cool to there's the story of people putting robot tuna and robot dolphins and robot fish into the ocean to spy on pods of dolphins. And dolphins are so fucking smart. They just pick them out instantaneously and either try to kill them or are at least curious about what fuck they are, because they can just spot it from a mile away. They're too smart.
Love it. Moxis. My biggest worry about the upcoming election is if the Dems have thought up a way to cheat we aren't prepared for. I keep hearing there's no way the use of millions of illegals to make a significant difference, but is that true? When you look at what the Dems have done, lying, cheating, stealing, right up to the pair of attempted assassinations, there's no line they won't cross. I mean, I don't buy into that conspiracy. I think the Dems are the Dems. There are a lot of people who are half Democratic, fully Democratic, far left, Republican light, Democratic heavy. I think these two lone assassins were probably cuckoo birds, as most are. I don't think that the Clintons or somebody was paying them or brainwashing them. This is not 3 Days of the Condor here.
Pretty gay thing to say.
Yeah. Oh, that's it?
Yeah, we've been going for
All right,
45 minutes, bro.
That's it? 45.
Yeah.
All right. Yucks. Thank you for coming out in Calgary. I had a great weekend. Buffalo, New York. I'll see you at Helium November 7, 8, and 9. In the meantime, I'm also at Thunder Bay, Ontario. Anybody who listens to this in Thunder Bay, Ontario, I will be there November 16. Come see it. Come get some. Peace.